Good morning, everybody. And this is our Q&A. I posed the questions to you last week to forward me any of your questions. Well, I posed the concept for you to put forward any of your questions, and I got some good ones. And it's quite fitting that the first question we're going to get.
Paul asks, is South Africa safe? What about getting around?
Good question, Paul. And it was one that was on my mind a lot before I came over, but I had the benefit of having local knowledge. I had my school friends from Brakpan, Brian mainly, to talk to on WhatsApp about the situation here. Is South Africa safe? Well, after my week, you might think not. But I'm going the other way with this one. I think South Africa generally is safe. I kept remembering what Bridget told us. Do you remember that interview up there in Lalapansi Hotel, which Bridget repeated? She said, "Don't be scared here." I think you could certainly get yourself into real deep trouble, as I did. I let my guard down. I had been fooled because I had been helped at a ATM before by bank staff, and they had helped me transfer money because it's tricky. I still don't understand using the ATM to transfer money. So that's what fooled me, those men that. But I was told yesterday by locals, as soon as someone comes near you at an ATM, you yell at them to go away, or take your card and walk off. That's what I should have done. But that wasn't the fear that I had about safety. My safety was concerning traffic lights, people coming up, snatching out of your car. South Africans will advise you to keep your things on the floor, keep your windows up when you approach a traffic light, and just be wary of your surroundings. I took chances. I took myself into remote places where there was no help at all. If I got into trouble, I'm thinking of that in Tombi graveyard, where Liz said it was very remote and maybe dangerous. I took a chance, but I never felt in any real danger. So is any developing or third world country safe? It's as safe as on a day-to-day basis. In most situations, I think you're safe. Remembering that youth unemployment in South Africa is about 66%. That's 2 out of 3 young people unemployed. The second part was all about getting about in South Africa. As I've told you on a number of videos, there is no rail system anymore. There is a train in Gauteng from the airport across to Sandton. But if you wanted to travel down to Durban or something, I suppose you could fly. There's probably a bus, I guess. Local taxis would be hell on earth, but it would be worth the experience if you wanted to live the real Africa. Take a local taxi with 30 or 40 of them crammed up around you. You'll certainly get to know people. But yeah, for me, I needed a hire car. In the old days, I used to hitchhike. I don't think that's an idea anymore. Next question.
Freddie Flintrock asks, why the interest in the Boer War? Do other conflicts interest you?
Thanks, Freddie. I've had this one asked quite a lot. Why the interest in the Boer War, and do other conflicts interest you? The interest in the Boer War goes back to that school trip on that bus. I think it was Brenthurst Primary rather than Brakpan High. We got on the bus. I'm staying with Jackie. I believe she was on the bus with us, but she doesn't remember the things I do. But I remember stopping at a blockhouse and being fascinated about a Boer War blockhouse. And then I remember a book that June gave me, an Afrikaner woman. I can't remember what it was called, but I could smell the dust in those pages, and it seemed so vivid. I don't even think it was. I think it was a non-fiction. But it got my taste for it, and then as I came to learn that Australians had served in the Boer War, yeah, it got me a lifelong interest, not an obsession by any means, an interest. Do other conflicts interest me? Yeah, they do. World War One, not to the same degree. The Zulu War, obviously. The Vietnam War. A little bit of World War Two. The Indian Wars in North America, the Apache, the Comanche, the Kiowa, the Cheyenne, the Sioux, all those plains wars and the desert wars interest me. As kids we bought all the, we had a fascination of collecting Indian books on the Indian wars, paperbacks mainly. Next question.
Potgieter's Potty asks, was there a favourite place or thing you saw?
Next question. Potgieter, good name. Was there a favourite place or thing you saw? Favourite place was Ladysmith. It was clean, fairly orderly. There was an African section where it was a bit chaotic with the usual African taxis and grime and litter and craziness of Africans. But most of the town to me seemed quite orderly. They had no load shedding. Still an English town, mostly English spoken. I liked Ladysmith. It was pretty, it was green, it was sort of had a tropical feel about it, but English. A favourite thing I saw, which keeps coming up in my head, was the time I was at that courthouse where Morant and Hancock and Whitten were charged. I was looking at it from the outside when the security guard came up and asked me what I was doing, and then asked me to come over to the hotel, and he got the manager down and she offered to show me the inside of that courtroom where the court-martial took place of the Bushveld Carbineers. I mean, that was incredibly moving. I felt so fortunate, and to me that's one of the places that comes to my mind.
Lachlan asks, how have you found documenting the whole trip on video? Do you feel obligated to pull the camera out at all when you'd like to just be in the moment?
It's a question from Lachlan. He says, paraphrasing here, Lachlan, how have you found documenting the whole trip on video? Do you feel obligated to pull the camera out at all when you'd like to just be in the moment? No, you see, I bought this camera, the Osmo DJI. I bought it to be mobile and to have it always there. I did bring with me one of these. I can wear it on my chest. Harness. That's the word I'm looking for. I could put it on a hat. At home, I've got the stickers to put it in the car. So it's a mobile camera, and I planned to document the whole holiday as much as I could. So one of the lessons, or one of the tips I was given by other YouTubers, was film first and ask questions later. So just have it rolling as much as you can. So whenever I've got out of the car or I've been told something interesting, I just automatically turn it on and start wandering around with it. And I think my enjoyment comes through the camera. I think capturing and talking to you all has given me the greatest fun. And no, it hasn't been. I don't think there's any. Certainly no times I've missed out and thought, gee, I wish I had the camera on. And on the other hand, neither have I thought at any time, gee, I wish I could put this bloody thing down. It's hampering me. It's just been an extension of me at the end of my hand.
Raymond 48AZ asks, you seem to love pets. Who was your favourite?
You picked that up, did you, Raymond? He says you seem to love pets. Who was your favourite? I loved them all. So I loved Sky when I first arrived, that dog out the back of Jacinta's there. beautiful collie. Fell in love with Sky to start with. Then the next one, I guess the favourite, it has to be Frank, the chocolate poodle in Bloemfontein. That little guy, I loved him because I heard him behind the door. When I was checking into the base where I heard the sound of a dog wanting to be involved, I said to the owner, also his name's Tony, I said, Tony, is that a dog? He said, yeah, it's Frank, do you mind? I said, no, bring him out. So Frank came out, of course he jumped up and he wanted kisses and cuddles and all that, and I loved that. But the moment when I fell for him was when he bought me his tennis ball in the morning. And I went outside and started throwing the tennis ball for him, and he dropped it at my feet. That little guy won me over with that. But it's going to be a tie. The other one was Rosie, the little cat at outside Colesberg at the stable accommodation. Was it Quillfontaine maybe? Yeah, that little tortoiseshell cat that slept on my bed for a little while. She didn't spend the night with me, and I realised she was part of a team. They work as a team, all those pets. I think there was about 4 dogs there, and there was a couple of cats. There was another cat called Tomo, I think, black and white one. But they all worked as a team. They all worked welcoming guests, getting to know you, sitting at your table when you're eating, begging. So I'm going to give it a tie. I'm going to say Frank the chocolate poodle and Rosie the tortoiseshell cat.
Hari Krishna Penguin asks, is South Africa expensive?
Is it expensive in South Africa? Not at all. Food, I think. If you're travelling on an Australian dollar, remember we're only getting 60 cents, 65 cents to an American dollar. Then even so, food is very affordable. They love their meat. I think the meat is pretty cheap. A good meal is very affordable. Things like if you wanted to buy a mobile phone or drink alcohol or go night clubbing, perhaps that's on a par with Western nations. Travel, accommodation, buying goodies. The tattoo I just had, which I believe cost about $1,000, in Australia cost about 220 here. So their labour costs are really cheap. That's why things are very affordable.
Heston asks, how do you think South Africa will be in 30 years' time?
Hi Heston. Heston asks a pretty difficult question. Where do I see South Africa in 30 years? Well, South Africa has incredible potential, but therein lays its problem, its potential. South Africa, to my mind and to what I've seen, has a booming population. They are booming, and the pressure on the land and the resources is incredible. There are townships springing up where there should be no townships. There is no planning. There is no regulation by the authorities as where people can suddenly build a village and start expanding on it. Of course, it gives you cheap labour. The African workforce has always been exploited by the Europeans and now by the local governments. Mining. South Africa gets a lot of its money from mining, coal, gold, diamonds, platinum, all those things. But with that comes environmental degradation. The mining companies don't seem to have any obligation to return the land to how they found it. They might say that on paper, but the government doesn't enforce any punishment on them if they don't return the land and rehabilitate it. So as far as a workforce, yeah, they've got an incredibly big, cheap workforce. But, is the world needing a lot of hands-on? We're moving now to AI and, automated, I should say, a robotic workforce. They've got everything here. They've got the weather, they've got the wildlife, They've got the stunning scenery, the coastline, the mountains, but all that, a lot of that is in danger once again of the people moving in. So I've seen great optimism with some Africans. I've sat down, there was an African woman I sat with recently while I was waiting for Brian at the shopping centre, and I got talking to her. She was a modern African woman, very well spoken in English. She'd worked for South African Airlines. She was married to a policeman, lived in Brakpan, and she was modern thinking. It wasn't all about having a huge family and sending money back to the grandmother in the village. And she went running, she attended a gym, she was cutting back on the meat, she was eating more vegetables, trying to keep fit. And she couldn't afford a maid, she told me. She does it herself and her husband helps her. Just like talking to a European woman. And I can't imagine that sort of woman having litter and garbage in their garden. I imagine they've got a small place and she keeps it neat and tidy. And you meet Africans that seem to be moving away from those concepts that we saw down in Zululand, which was to have 3 or 4 wives and have a huge family, which you can't afford. So those Africans give me optimism that as the next generation comes along, they start to question some of the values. Some of the values are tied to do with ancestor worship. The ruling party, we all know, is horribly corrupt, and they run the country into the ground. The councils get no funding, all the money stolen. No one seems to want to pay tax. All those people running little stalls on the side of the road selling tomatoes and electronic goods, they don't pay any tax. If a functioning government could come in and start repairing, the infrastructure is still here. We saw the railways were destroyed and stripped and stolen. If the railways could be put up again and revived, then there's a chance that this country could become a booming African economy again. It probably still is the strongest African economy, sub-Sahara. But there is hope that if they can get themselves together, during the Springbok rugby finals, the whole country seemed to come together. They seem united then, but back on the day-to-day level, the whites and the Africans and the coloureds and the Indians and the Asians haven't really come together as a united South Africa yet. I still have only seen 2 mixed-race couples, and it's natural for cultures to want to stay hanging around their own. The whites, the great majority of them that I've seen here, still live a privileged lifestyle. To have Africans to come to do the garden, maids to do the house, to wash the car, to fill the car with petrol. And I think whites probably still own the majority of the wealth in the country. So to answer you, Heston, I don't know. They could get it together if they change the mentality of the country and they get a functioning government that, as I said, ploughs the money back into fixing the potholes and fixing the infrastructure. But is that going to happen? Because I was told that the ANC at voting polls goes around and reminds the people it's hardly anyone votes for a start, but those that do, the ANC tells them that their ancestors fought for this to fight apartheid, and their ancestors want them to vote for the ANC that defeated apartheid. If that changes, then maybe.
My summary: things South Africa gets right and wrong.
Okay. Things that South Africa gets right and things that South Africa gets wrong. And this is light-hearted. Things that South Africa does well. Biltong. It's everywhere. And the biltong is out of this world. They seem to live on biltong. I was told yesterday from Brian that kids that are having teething, the parents get a stick of biltong, put a hole through it and a string around it, and the child cuts its teeth. It's on biltong. So if you like jerky, you'd love South African biltong. They get it right. A braaivleis or barbecue, they're masters at it. They have the Boer War sausage. I love a Boer War sausage, a good one. But all their braai, barbecued meat. As I said, they have a love of meat. They're meat eaters here, carnivores. In their supermarkets, the section on meat is huge, the size of a car park. The section for your vegetables and salads is about the size of this table I'm sitting on. They do barbecue really well. They do service really well. As I mentioned in the other question, you pull up to get your car, put petrol in, they'll wash your windscreen, they'll put the air in your tyres, they'll check your oil. While they're filling the car up with petrol, they'll give your car a quick wipe down and you don't have to get out. So they do service really well. If you want your car washed and vacuumed, as I've found it numerous times with their hire cars, it's very cheap and they do a fantastic job. So all those jobs you don't want to do, the washing, the vacuuming, if you've got a little bit of money, you don't have to do them here. Things they don't do well. Greek salad. I'm still going on about this. They have not done me a good Greek salad since I've been here. Strawberries don't go in a Greek salad, guys. Mayonnaise don't go in a Greek salad. Pies. Pies are pretty good, but where's the sauce? They don't give you tomato sauce with a pie. And you can, at a roadside stop or something where there's a pie shop, you can beg for sauce. They don't have any. You can go across to Wimpy and ask for a sachet of tomato sauce. They don't want to give it to you. So you can eat a pie or a sausage roll, which is dry, without sauce. That's unforgivable. I think those are the main two. Oh, okay, I'm going to give you another one. And it's all food related. Pizza. They don't know how to make good pizza. It's minced meat they tend to use on the pizza. The ham is, I don't know why, but it's not very good. The salami is practically non-existent. So they don't do a good pizza. But then again, go and have a big steak, a T-bone, and it'll make up for you. So thanks for the questions, guys. I hope you've enjoyed my answers. And I've got 3 days left now. Today we send the shields off, so I'll go and get ready to do that. Talk to you soon. Bye.